Over the years, I've accumulated this box or this bin full of old robot parts. Everything in here is something that is somewhat sentimental. I don't necessarily want to just throw it away or get rid of it, but it really serves no purpose in terms of a usable part. For instance, I've got most of Kamikaze. I've got the original version 1 Sergeant Cuddles in here, which started my whole robot building career. I've got the retired version 1 of Psychotic Break and a few other things. These parts really aren't doing any good sitting here in the bin, so what I'd like to do is display them in a bookshelf in my office. So for this video, let's start out with Long Long Man, and I'll make a nice little display mount so I can have this on display. I decided to start with Long Long Man because it's a relatively simple design and it'll be pretty simple to display. So I'm basically just going to have a little base that's going to stand off of, a couple little pieces that will hold it on the stand, and then just a couple of uprights. Now I'm doing everything out of aluminum just because I tried like different woods and other materials, but I want to keep this really simple and just have something that really doesn't detract from it, but just simply puts it on display. I started off by making these standoffs. I could have easily purchased some of these, but I couldn't find any in exactly the right dimensions that I wanted. I know I'm just being picky here, but I wanted 3/8 inch diameter and about 1.5 inches long. I think maybe McMaster had some, but they were like a couple dollars a piece, and then you'd have to ship them. So I just grabbed some 3/8 inch stock, cut it down with a bandsaw, put it on the lathe, and simple as that. So in the end, I probably saved myself $5 with a half an hour's worth of time. So yeah, it's really profitable to do. Also, I never really realized until editing this video how wobbly my lathe is. I'm gonna probably need to get a better base for this that's a little bit more stable. So now that the standoffs are made, I'm moving on to the brackets that actually hold Long Long Man up top. I'm just starting out with some 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch stock that I cut down on the bandsaw, mounting it all the way on the left-hand side of the jaws so that I can swap it out for the next one, indicating off of that front left corner, and then it's just going to contour around it, and simple as that. None of this really has to be all that precise, so I'm just going to do the one part, swap it out, and do the other one, and then it'll have a little bit of a lip or a flange on the bottom, flip them upside down, and then machine that off. So you might notice I'm trying something a little bit different here in terms of camera footage. Usually I have my normal camera on the outside of the mill enclosure kind of filming in, and that poses two different challenges. If I have the doors closed, it's really not that great of a shot because you're looking through the Lexan and it gets really cloudy and dirty. It's really hard to keep clean, but it does keep the chips in. Sometimes, if you guys are really lucky, I'll open the doors and I'll film directly in without the doors, but then I have to spend the next half an hour to an hour cleaning up chips that just go everywhere because they're not closed inside the enclosure. So it's a bit of a trade-off, and I'm trying having like a little GoPro inside, so let me know what you think. I'm probably going to be doing some improving on this later, but so far, yeah, it's okay. The last piece left to make is the base. The base is pretty simple. It's basically just a rectangle. I think it's 2 1/4 inches deep, 5 inches wide, and roughly 3/4 inch thick or tall. And so really it was just a lot of facing operations with the Superfly just to get the stock down to that size. After I got all that done, it was just a matter of drilling the 2 mounting holes and then doing a little bit of a chamfer around the edge. I'm still not 100% sold on the chamfer. I think I might have just liked it if I just kept it clean, but the chamfer is there, so I'm gonna have to live with it. And here are all the parts ready for painting. For the base, I just did a little bit of a countersink just on this will be the top, and then on the bottom, just so the countersunk heads will fit through. And then everything I just kind of deburred a little bit. For the bigger base, I used a sanding block just to kind of knock off the edges a little bit. And for the smaller parts, I just put them in the vibratory tumbler, just because some of these areas are a little bit tricky to get into. So let's get these painted up. After the parts get sanded and deburred, I take them into a sink, use some Dawn dish detergent and some warm water and really wash them. When you're sanding, you get a lot of kind of aluminum dust and things like that. And when you wash them with a soap, you can actually remove quite a bit of that. And you also get all the oils and things like that from your fingers and all that out of the part, and so it holds paint a little bit better. And then I just use, a standard spray paint, spray it really lightly, come back, wet sand it, spray it again. I usually do this probably about 2 to 3 times, maybe 4 times, wet sanding in between each coat, and then that's that. And here are the finished parts. You might notice that I added a little bit of a patina to all of these. I just take some extra fine steel wool and just kind of rub off the finish or the sheen on it, and it leaves this kind of matte, and then you kind of reveal some of the lines. I did this because the painted pieces, which I don't have a picture of, when they were done painting, it looked nice, but it looked a little bit just too plain and boring, and it was just a shiny piece of metal. It just didn't really look all that interesting, and it also contrasted too much with Long Long Maaaaaaan, which is kind of beat to hell, so this finish actually looks a lot nicer with it, and I'll show this when it's all together. But yeah, that's pretty much how it all turned out, and you can kind of see a little bit of the finish. Now, something to note, out here in the workshop, I have a lot of lights. For anyone that's not been in my workshop, I have a lot of light. I have 110,000 lumens out here, and it is very bright, and that's why even my hand above this, you can't see a shadow underneath. There's no shadows out here, so this is very unforgiving to finishes. So that kind of gives you an idea what the finish looks like, but this is worst case scenario in absolute bright light conditions. So let's get this together. I also have a couple EVA foam bumpers to put on the bottom, and we'll show you what this looks like all displayed up. So here is the finished product. I still need to do a little bit more arranging and putting some more stuff on my shelf. I just got this like the other day. But yeah, I think I'm overall pretty happy with how it turned out. It does what it's supposed to do. I wanted something that when you look at it, you don't really think that much about the mount. The mount just kind of goes away, and ultimately you see the thing on display. And I think it ultimately accomplishes that. So yeah, I will be doing this for more of my retired robots. You can see I've got Sergeant Cuddles version 1 down here. I'm going to do some kind of display for that. Over there somewhere I've got Psychotic Break version 1. So those are going to end up on this shelf as well. So I got to figure out maybe something a little bit different to do with those. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out my Facebook page for any updates, and check back for more new videos. Thanks for watching. See you next time.